Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the tavern. This week, it's a somber week for the sporting world. We lost two icons in the sport in Grayson Murray and Bill Walton. It's also Memorial Day weekend, so we figured we'd start this episode with a moment of silence for those we've lost this week and for those who served our country and we've lost in their service. Welcome to the tavern. Welcome to the tavern, everybody. Kind of a somber start, but it's been a kind of a somber week in sports.
What's going on? Yeah, crummy week. Let's start. How was your weekend?
Weekend was good.
You had a busy weekend. You had a busy weekend. You had a busy weekend up there in Indianapolis.
Oh, we
Nothing
did.
goes on Memorial Day weekend.
Apparently, we went. We still have Caitlin Clark fever. Pun intended. We still have we don't anymore, but we had the Pacers on Saturday playing, then the Indy 500 on Sunday, then the Pacers again last night. I was at the game. And shout out to the Pacers for the amazing run they made this season. Tyrese Halliburton, I watched his exit interview this week or today, and he even said, he goes, they didn't give us credit when we made the first in-season tournament final, and they still didn't give us credit when we made the Eastern Conference final. So that team needs some credit for what they did. They're young. They lost. You look at this, you're pissed off at the way the Eastern Conference finals went as a Pacers fan. But shout out to the Boston Celtics. They are an amazing team, and they were amazing to watch. And it was a fun series that could have went either way, but ended up in a sweep for the Celtics. So shout out to them. We'll see what the T-Wolves and Mavericks do tonight. So just a fun weekend here. The Indy 500, I got to say, it's usually blocked out here, but the weather held it off, so it wasn't blocked out. I got to watch that after work. And what an exciting finish to the Indy 500. Congratulations to Joseph Newgarden on his back-to-back wins. So cheers to that.
Can we talk about the archaicness of sports blackouts at some point? Because that's just ridiculous. I mean, never. It's 2024. I mean, come on.
For the Indy 500, here's the part that really upsets me is they had over 300,000 people in a 400,000 seat stadium, or arena, cathedral, whatever you want to call that place, because it is ginormous. Yep. You can fit every Big Ten football stadium inside of the infield of that, which is crazy. And you're still going to block it out for people there. I get it if your fans, your local fans don't want to go, they're not going to watch it on TV either. So why are you blocking it out? But for something like that, when you've sold 75% of a 400,000 seat stadium, you know what? Let the fans that can't go, that either have to work or something, or are at home because they can't bring their families there. It's a great thing. Go if you can. That's the thing. You want to go to these things. But if you can't, stop blocking people from it. Or stop charging exorbitant amounts to go to it too, because you got to think about that as well.
Correct.
How was your weekend?
The weekend, it was good. My parents were staying at Orange Lake this weekend, so I hung out in the lazy river all weekend. And then yesterday, I got a chance. And if you've ever been to Orlando, and if you're coming to Orlando for vacation, Orange Lake Resort is amazing. Timeshare units. So yeah, no, I suggest that. Great place for families to get together. But I wish they were. No, they're not. But and then yesterday morning, I actually took Luke out and we played some golf with the Orlando golfer, and had a good time with them. And
you didn't go to Texas
got
with
the
him?
little guy on the golf. No, I didn't.
Did you post?
I did see his post. Yeah, I did see his post. But no, I was not. I did not go to Texas with him. No.
But yeah, I mean, great weekend all around. I got to play some golf too on Friday, so
Nice.
had some good times out there. Our league, we played league on Thursday, played golf on Friday, Pacers game on Saturday.
Nice.
So fun weekend. But
yep,
we're here to talk about golf and
life.
You want to just get right into the first round?
Let's go to first round. Yeah. Saturday afternoon when golf coverage was coming on, I don't know what your feed was like on your social media. I know what mine was like. It was full of this news that I don't think any of us ever expected to get. Grayson Murray suddenly passing away. And I watched the PGA Tour coverage. It was in the middle of got a chicken in the smoker and was in the middle of cooking. So I just sat there and was just stunned. 30 years old. Two-time winner on the PGA Tour, won earlier this year in Hawaii. And all of a sudden, then it started. And CBS's coverage of the golf tournament, with all of that going on behind the scenes, and then to bring Webb on and have Webb speak. And then if you didn't catch Peter Malnati's interview of someone who didn't know Grayson all that well, played 2 rounds with him this week, and how choked up Peter Malnati was. And all of a sudden the commissioner shows up at Colonial and flew out to be there for the players. Interesting, a lot of interesting moving parts. And I want to say this. One, the PGA Tour, I think this weekend did an amazing job with messaging, with getting the word out there and having those conversations. But I also want to commend CBS. And of any broadcast, if you think when something like this happens, who would you want to tell the message, and have Jim Nantz on the broadcast relaying that message? I honestly, Jim did an amazing job, and not that he never does it. The dude is rock solid in the booth. Anyway, we all know that. But to look at the job CBS did, the PGA Tour did this weekend, hats off, because it wasn't an easy weekend, and it wasn't the tournament took a back seat. And it's unfortunate because it's a great golf course, an old historic golf course. And I know we're gonna get into this, but kudos to Davis Riley for getting the win and staring down Scotty Scheffler. I mean, let's be real, he's really one of the first ones to stare him down mano a mano and win. But the tournament really took a back seat this week to what is really going on in the world.
Well, and here's the thing. You could see how this hit everybody. Like when it first came out, what was being said, you didn't know what happened. And then his family did release what had happened. And it sheds light on a subject that we're going to get into next week. Really, we're going to dive into this because we want to give it the credit it deserves and the attention it deserves, and really have some professionals on here, because we're not professionals to talk about this. We can talk about golf, we can talk about sports, we know that inside and out, but mental health and things like that is not something that we're experts to talk about. So we wanted to bring someone on, and we looked at finding someone for today, and just unfortunately it didn't work out, but it is able to work out next week. So watch out for our show next week, where we really want to dive into this, because if you're out there, if you're suffering, no, you're not alone. There's people out there that you might not think are there to help you, but they are. Like your friends, everyone, people care about you. I don't care if you don't think anyone cares about you. People care about you. People care about who you are. Our society today has too much negativity in it. And we lost someone else too, in Bill Walton, to cancer this week, who was a great person, a great humanitarian, a great basketball player, one of the greatest basketball players of all time. And
3-time All-American, 3-time first-team All-American.
Exactly.
In college, like
NBA the 50th anniversary NBA team and the 75th anniversary All NBA team. Champion, multiple-time champion, and just an all-around great guy. And we lost him to a disease, and we lost someone to a mental disorder or disease. I don't know exactly what to say. I don't want to say the wrong thing, but it's tragic when you lose people, and especially when you lose people this way, that if you need help, ask for it. That's the one thing I want to say. And if you see someone that you think might need help, ask them if they're okay. Ask your buddy if they're okay. Because you never know what people are going through, and just be nice to people, because that's the truth. You never know what people are going through, and don't be an asshole. We got too many of those in the world today. Like, let's be better. Let's be better for everybody else. No one knows what you're going through. No one knows what they're going through. You don't know what they're going through, and just be nicer to people. And let's have cordial conversations instead of all this hate that's out there. So,
it's funny. I don't know if you're familiar. There's a course down in Jupiter called the Dye Preserve.
Mm-hmm.
The Pete Dye Golf Course down in Jupiter. Grayson is a member there, and they posted something today, and I thought it shed some light as you talk about him not knowing what people are going through. And I'm going to read this. It's on Instagram, and it says, Grayson expressed interest in joining the Dye Preserve last fall. As we do with all prospective members, we took the opportunity to sit down with him to discuss our identity as a club and our culture that exists at the Dye. During our time together, Grayson was very forthcoming about his past challenges and desire to turn a new leaf. He seemed happy and excited with the path he was on. Grayson prioritized learning our staff's name and would often play rounds with our members and staff. The stories that are being shared regarding his kindness and generosity showed true every time he was at the club. With his victory at the Sony Open in Hawaii in January, we rejoiced in what we believe is one of the greatest comeback stories in sports. To know him on a personal level made it that much more special for the club. The Dye Preserve family is deeply saddened that we have lost Grayson Murray way too soon. Grayson will be missed. We send our deepest condolences to his family and loved ones. Grayson's staff bag will remain in our golf shop as a reminder of the positive impact he had here in a short time.
Well said. I will tell you, that's what a lot of people say too, is sometimes the nicest people you will meet are the people that are going through the most internally, because they don't want anyone else to feel the way that they do.
Correct.
So just be nice to people.
Yeah, it's not hard. Be nice.
Help people out. Be there for people. And sometimes you can't, but if we can all do better as a society, then hopefully we can help each other out and be a better society, frankly.
Correct.
And that's, we look at the sports world. Anytime there's a tragedy or something like that, the sports world comes together and helps us forget about bad times and things that are happening, and just get to enjoy what we love. And if we take more of that into society, we'll be better for it.
Correct. And I know, Greg, you talked about next week. I do want to say this before our guest comes on next week. If you need help, the number is 988. That's all you have to dial. That's it. Call, get help. That's it.
And that's if you call anybody, I'll be honest, like that's the professional number. But
yeah,
call your friends. If someone calls you, if a friend calls you, take the time to talk to them, or take the time to send them a message. Be like, hey, because we can't always get the phone at that time. You never know what the call's about. But always tell them, hey, I'll call you back, or I'll do this. Like just say, hey, or if it's, do you need to talk right now? And don't take those moments for granted, because you never know. So
correct.
It's if anybody's out there, if any of my friends are out there, and you need someone to talk to, you can always call me. I will. I might not always answer, but I will always get back to you, and I will always, like, if you need to, and if you need to talk right now, call me.
Yep.
So that also goes for you, Steve. I'll pick up when you call too.
Thanks, I appreciate that. What a pal.
I had to lighten the mood a little bit there. So
let's
other stuff going on this week. So
yeah, let's go into happy hour and talk that.
All right.
I want to be here, right? Okay.
Do you want to talk the big announcement that just happened today?
Yeah, I mean,
out of the blue, this popped up on my screen.
It's funny. People have been posting, and the topic that we're talking about is Lexi Thomas retiring from professional golf at the age of 29.
At the end of this season. So not
like at the end of the season, immediately, correct. And I found it interesting because like 2 days ago, posts started coming out that this was going to be her 18th U.S. Open.
Yeah. That
she was competing in. And she's 29. And I thought, that's awful. It just seemed odd for me that those posts were coming up in that, I mean, Lexi obviously was a child prodigy. She's a great golfer, an amazing golfer, major winner. Still think she got hosed between moving a ball mark and touching sand in a bunker. But, I think that there's true. That is very true. But you look back at her professional career. She's won 15 times around the globe. Amazing career, and you think those numbers don't equate to somebody at the age of 29. Like 15 wins, one major. You're 29 years old. I mean, Scotty Scheffler's 27, has 2 majors and 10 wins.
No, but to be honest, like she burst onto the scene very young, and correct. she has always had this maturity about her where I've gotten to meet her before, and she's a super nice person. And then when you see her out on the golf course, she's always looked like she's been a seasoned veteran on the tour. Like even when she was, except for when she really first came on the scene. But as she's been on the tour the past few years, I've gone to some LPGA events here at the Brickyard. Funny enough, we talked about the Indy 500, the Women in Tech event that was out here a few years ago. Went to that twice. Saw her play out there, and everyone that I knew that I took to this event that didn't follow the LPGA that knew about her from like social media stuff like that, and they were like, they didn't realize how young she was. They didn't realize that she's been on tour for this long. Like,
no,
she's just been a staple on tour that you just thought that she's got to be in her like mid 30s at this point. When she's only 29 years old, but she's accomplished so much. But
is she 29, or is she like your grandmother that tells you she's still 29?
But the other thing is, when you look at this, especially in female sports, golf and tennis that are like very probably the dominant female sports, besides like even soccer, even football.
Yeah.
Like girls get into this very young. Like tennis players are 14 when they're really competing professionally almost. They're still amateurs, but they're competing professionally. On the male side, you see it more like you'll see someone at 14, 15, but it's not a lot. Whereas on the female side, there are some that get very good at a very young age. And then they're like, oh, I'm going to retire. And they're like, oh, I have 25 years of experience under my belt. And you're like, you're only 28 years old. Like, that's the other thing that a lot of people don't realize is that that's something that you can play these sports when you're young because they're not high contact. They're not like the soccer one. You just kids. That's the most popular sport in the world. So.
I mean, Tom Kim's 21 years old. How long has he been on the PGA Tour? Because I feel like he's been out there and Akshay turned pro at like 16.
Yeah.
Like
so you
don't hear those stories a lot. You don't hear those stories a lot on the men's as much on the men's tour as you do on the women's tour, because Morgan Pressels came out young, Charlie Hull did as well. There's been a steady diet of younger female players coming into this game. Who was that girl, Lily, whatever her name is, that was at the U.S. Open at like 14, looking like a red, white, and blue bomb pop? And I mean, when you have all of these great athletes that that go through this, And you also look at the LPGA Tour in that.
I do like that. I was going to put up the same comment.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, Steve, you put it up. There we go.
I put it up. And that's
also
true.
true.
I mean,
I'm going to make a comment to that in a minute. So I'm going to ask you a
Yeah.
question, Steve. So
you look at Annika retired young. Lydia Ko retired. Well, Lydia didn't retire. What's her name? Lorena Ochoa retired young. And Annika still plays, a handful of events on the celebrity circuit now. But like when you look at what has gone on and what on the LPGA Tour, the question you have to ask, especially when you look at someone like Annika retiring young and these great players, and Annika obviously is the most dominant LPGA player of all time. But when you look at all these great players retiring young, and
Nelly's coming for her
though. Is it to start a family? Is it to do all of these things that they're looking to do?
I mean, I don't necessarily know that it's sometimes that. Sometimes is it like, so Lexi she's 29 years old. She turned 29 in February. 15 professional wins on tour. And she, as a 12-year-old in 2007, she qualified for the U.S. Women's Open. 12.
Yes.
Like, you've turned professional in 2010. So,
yeah,
she was 15.
Yeah.
So as a professional athlete, like, you think about this, like, and they were talking about this in the NBA game last night, that like Pascal Siakam is in his 30s and like he's considered an old guy in the NBA.
Yeah.
Like 25, 27 is like your prime age. So 29, like when you actually look at this and compare it to other sports, she's retiring after the same amount of years that other people put on their body, like,
yep,
for this. So it seems early because I do think she's still a great golfer. I do think she could still win out there, but I get it. That's a lot. It's a lot to do. It's a lot to put on yourself. So the question I was going to ask is this: do you feel this retirement, and you kind of said like for a family or something like that, do you feel this retirement is just she's exhausted, or it's kind of like an Andrew Luck situation where like injuries and things like that, you don't feel like you can safely compete or something? Or is this just burnout. I'm done? Yeah, I
feel like it's a burnout. And
it's not wrong either way.
For a while, she really was the face of women's golf. Until Nelly has come along, she has held really the title of the best. Until the Corda sisters came along, she was kind of the face of the LPGA Tour. And I feel like that she is really just to that point where I don't want to do this anymore. Like, and it was interesting to go back to our first round topic. Her press conference today, she talked about how lonely it is on the road, traveling, and that life that all of us would love to have, right? On the LPGA, as a professional golfer, and you think it's all great and swanky and everything else. It's not an easy life. I mean, you're in hotel rooms every weekend, and let's be real, the LPGA Tour doesn't pay out the money that the men's game pays. We all know that. There's no secret there. So you have this route where you're playing more events on the LPGA Tour to make money and to do all these things and the travel, and their tour is almost a true global tour that they go to Asia.
Yeah.
And they see all four corners of the globe. So you're on the road a lot. And if you want to do anything, and there are breaks in their schedule, much different than obviously the men's tour that literally starts in January and plays straight through realistically Labor Day at this point, and ends with the start of with the NFL season, other than some other silly season hit and giggle events. But I feel like for her, if you're looking at what she's trying to do and at this point in her life, you know what? If you don't have to do that travel, you don't have to do that grind, and let's be real, like a lot of the LPGA players don't make enough money to own their own jet, especially to fly around the world in, like some of the guys do. So they're flying commercial. They're flying, you know, I'm sure you're flying business or first class, but you're flying commercial. So it's sitting in airports. It's doing all these things that are just, you know, when you travel for work all the time, it gets old.
You're playing for the love of the game. Like that's why you're playing. You're playing because you love this sport. You love what it is. And I admire anyone who does that. But I also get what you're saying there. The grind that puts on you. Like we all say, yeah, I'd love to play golf 100% of my time. I'd love to do all that stuff. But no, I want to be with my family. I want to spend time with family, with friends, and do all that stuff. But if you're constantly having to do this grind because this is your job, like that's tough. Like, and people don't realize that because they look at pro athletes and think, oh, they play a sport for a living. Blah blah blah. No, it's a grind. They are the best at what they do. And they do it all over the country, and they have
all over the world at that level. Yeah.
It's and so about not just golfers, but even like all professional athletes.
Right.
So it's like you got to respect them for what they do out there, and understand that when they're retiring, like I respect if you're going to retire, go ahead, retire and enjoy retirement. Because I mean, Steve, if I told you today that you could retire and be flush with cash, you're going to do it. So if you can do it at 29, if I got to retire at 29, kudos to you. You worked hard. You earned this. Yeah. So congratulations on your retirement. You will be missed by your fans. You will be missed by us and watching you play golf. But I hope she kind of does what Annika does and does some appearances, does things, but spends more time with family and friends and has the less of that impact. And maybe still plays in some events every now and again.
You know, I hope they consider, although I don't know if it'll be fair right now, and she hits it a lot longer than, obviously, she's one of the longest players in the LPGA Tour to begin with. You know, does she get the Annika treatment, and does she get to come down and play in the LPGA event down here, Tournament of Champions on the celebrity side? Obviously, she doesn't have the nobody in golf outside of maybe Tiger has the resume that Annika has and the impact that she's had on her sport. But, you know, do we get her some of these reps a couple years down the line where she just come out and have some fun and laugh and sign autographs and play some golf? You know, we'll see.
I'd like to see her go out. Like we said, I'd like to see her play in a match, like one of the matches, and do that. Like she played on the PGA Tour. She did it. She did an event there, and she shot 70. So like that's an accomplishment in itself. Like she's a great golfer, and I hope she stays an ambassador for the game. Like that's what I do hope, and I hope she stays in the game in retirement. But doesn't, if for whatever reason she's retiring, I hope it's the right reasons and that she enjoys her retirement.
Yeah. Yep. I would agree with that. I would agree with that.
We want to move on to our next
There's some other news that and this is an interesting one because you and I pretty much have the same take on this. I'm
gonna go on.
I want to say first off, I do want to congratulate Richard Bland for winning the senior PGA championship. But of course, the Monday Morning Warriors on the keyboard and the LIV proponents are all up in arms because the PGA Tour has come out and said that typically if someone who's not a PGA Tour or a Champions Tour member wins an event, they get an automatic, they're exempt now onto that tour on a major, I believe it's 5 years. Yep. And they get status on that tour. And the PGA Tour came out and made a statement that said, hey, he is not in good standing. He is playing on a competing tour and thus will not be rewarded the membership, the special membership for winning the major. And the LIV Warriors are all up in arms over it because they feel that he should get that. Yada 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 down the line. And
why? I'm just going to ask that question because I'm going to go off here
because their argument is that's what the rule is, and if it was anybody else playing, including any of what was their club pro that finished 4th this week in the event, I believe is where he ended up.
But you said it perfectly that he is on a competing tour. They let him play in this. You chose to go to a competing tour. You chose to go to Live, and you know what? I want Live to be Live, and I want the PGA to be the PGA. I want this fight to be over. But you chose to go over there. You took your money. You went over there.
Yep.
You gotta lay with that. You gotta lay in the bed that you chose.
Yep.
Stay there. Don't worry about the PGA. Don't worry about a tour card on the PGA. If you want to come and win in the majors because you're allowed to play in the majors, then go win in the majors. But you don't need a PGA tour card. You shouldn't care about that because obviously you want to play on Live. And Steve, I said this example to you earlier.
Oh, this was a great example. I was hoping you were going to go down this road.
Oh, I'm 100% going down this road. If you work for a company and then you leave that company to go get a higher paying job somewhere else, you don't get the perks of that old company. So like I said, if you worked at Walt Disney World in Orlando and you quit because, Universal's going to pay me more, you don't get to keep your passes to Disney World. You don't get to go into Disney World for free anymore. You don't get to bring people in with you anymore just because you used to work there. Like, that's not how this works. You went to a different tour. Go play on that tour. That's fine. You know what? You know what? I became a fan of Bryson after the PGA Championship. I thought he's matured. I thought he's a lot better than he was in the past. He's not as arrogant as he used to be. And you said it earlier, his media presence is better. You know what? Play on Live. Come play over in the majors. That's fine. But you're not going to come play on the tour because the reason you left is you didn't like that tour and you got more money over here. So go be over there.
Yep.
Don't care if they don't give you an exemption.
Well, here's my other take. And I love how the Live proponents are always like, oh, well, they should be able to go and play on the PGA Tour because they're independent contractors. Okay, well, first off, we need to discuss consultant versus contractor and what goes into that. So don't throw the independent contractor around because, again, if you've ever worked for a company that has independent contractors, they still have to abide by the company rules. But my other problem is can a PGA Tour player just go and pick up and go play in a Live event?
No.
And walk in? So why
they can, but they'll get a lot of money, and then they can't play on the PGA Tour. That's how that works.
There's no, because it's a closed circuit. They have their 54 guys. There's no room for anybody else to just show up and play.
Let me ask this question. Real quick. Let me ask this question. I want to ask to all of the Live fans that are out there. You love Live so much, okay? You love the tour. You love everything. Be a fan of Live. That's fine. I'm not dogging you for that. Why do you want your players to go play on the PGA Tour? Don't you want to keep them over there? Like,
you know what's going to be
why
funny?
do they have to play everywhere? Because their big thing was you don't play as much. Well, you know what? If you're going to play on both, you're going to play a lot more than you did when you played on one.
Correct. Here's the funnier part. And I was scrolling through TikTok earlier. I forgot it was TikTok or Instagram. No Laying Up, the No Laying Up podcast.
Good podcast.
Good podcast, great podcast. One of the best out there. Was talking about the fact that the senior Open Championship is the same week as a Live tournament in the UK.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's the week after the Open because that Open is it's the week after the Open.
You're correct.
You know that's why they planned it that way.
Right. Well, Richard Bland can't. And if Richard Bland says, I want to go play in the Senior Open Championship, Liv won't release him.
Yeah.
He's got to go play for the Cliques that week.
Why? But that's my point. Why? Why do you care so much you're trying to promote Live? Like all these people that are out there, like, oh, Liv's better, Live is this. Like all the people that argue with people online that Steve, you poke the bear all the time. Like
I do. I enjoy it.
Like, but that's my point. Like, why are they arguing this? Like, you're saying like, oh, they should be able to play on there. They should be able to do this. It's like, well, you're not going to allow more than 54 to play out there. So you're just going to kick people out because of it. So why should you play on both? Like, just play on live and be live. Like,
right.
That's what it should be. Like, unless you want to be a feeder program like the Corn Ferry Tour, like, which what I think I'm hoping like the new UFL becomes that feeder tour for the NFL. But I hope The Rock gets, because that's what he wants. But that's not what this is. You're a competing tour.
No.
You don't get to play on both. If there was a competing Major League Baseball tour out there, Red Sox players, Yankees players, I know that. But I'm saying there was. If someone started a professional Major League Baseball opposite like competitor, you're not going to be able to play on both. They're not going to. Major League Baseball is not going to allow that. Like,
no,
you don't see NBA players until they're retired playing in the Big Three, and you don't see the Big Three trying to do that. Now, they did offer where like if in the off season and things like that, but when if you're in the same season, you don't do that. Like you're not competing.
And
you want to be.
And let's be real. Let's be real. If you're an NBA player and you're playing in that in the off season, are you really worried? You have no concern for your body after the long seasons.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Thanks, Kaz. Kaz and I went to college together. So.
But here's the thing: the Saudi Baseball League. So live baseball. Like that's the thing. You're not going to have that. So. I get it. If you want to love live, but stop trying to make them play on the tour. You told them to leave.
Yeah, correct. Like,
come on.
Again, I'm done hearing this. So, yeah, new soapbox. By the way, I know it's not queued up, but I do have a smack of the week for us to get into that. So,
we'll get into that in a minute. But I mean, but this is a great topic out there for this. Is like, let's let this go. Like, if you want to play on there, play on there. Like. Don't get an exemption. And I think here's the thing: if you get the exemption,
do we have to go the frozen route with that, Greg?
No, you had to point that out. I was just saying a statement, and you just pointed it was frozen.
You said let it go.
We're golfing dads, so we all got to watch. I get it, but my point being is we talk about if players wanted to come back to the tour. So like, let's say Bryson wanted to come back to the PGA Tour. I do think that. Hey, if you had an exemption at some point that would still be in place, maybe that's a way to get, like, you earned your way back because you won the Senior Open. So we'll use him as the example there. Like, you won the Senior Open. If in 5 years' time you say that I'm going to leave live, not go back to live, and I'm going to come over here, maybe that's an easier way to get back in because you did earn that at one point. But you only start from where it is.
Question. And I'm going to ask this question and throw it out there because based on that, Phil Mickelson would still be exempt on the PGA Tour. Well, he's got a lifetime exemption to begin with, plus his win at the PGA Championship in 2021. And obviously, Phil was the one that's really ruffled the most feathers and talked negatively about the tour. What do you do with Phil?
Let him back.
I mean, no.
No, why? Hear me out. Because what's he going to do? Like, he gets flat. Yeah, exactly. He gets flat.
Here's my problem. I'm not putting that up. Bradley, I'm going to leave that in the comments. I'm not putting that up. Here's my problem with that is that he's also taking spots away from very deserving players who we've seen a bunch of first-time winners this year on the PGA Tour. And let's be real, Phil can't compete in a field of 54. I mean, his best finish ever out there is 6th, and that was this year. When they were a tour of 48, his best finish was 7th. I mean, once again, and again, let's go back to 2021 when he won at Kiowa.
That's my point.
No, but when you go back to 2021 and he won at Kiowa, if you look at the rest of his starts on the PGA Tour, I'm not talking PGA Tour champions.
Yep. I'm
talking PGA Tour. His best finish was T17, I think, at match play.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't have and it was a limited field event. Everything else is a bunch of T54, MC. Like, he didn't play well. He's become a ceremonial golfer.
Yeah, he's past his prime and stuff like that. And to be honest, like, go to live and be on live, because that live is perfect for Phil. I think the live tour is perfect for him because he can have that team event. He can do all of this stuff. He doesn't have to.
Yeah.
I mean, the lowest he's going to get is what, 54th place. So like,
yeah,
that's good for him there. I don't see him coming back. And you know what? Go enjoy that life, but stay over there. Don't worry about coming back here because you don't want to come back here anyway.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
It is what it is. All right, you ready for the smack?
I am ready for the smack.
Mindset.
I don't know about you, but the mindset, I mean, this smack, as parents, and we're not at that point where we've had to teach our kids to drive yet. But they could, but as we get to that point, and we were all kids at one point to learn how to drive, you need some mindset and something to focus on, and that's what this one is brought to you by.
There you go.
Our favorite part. Cruising around the cart. Kari.
There's nothing else around it. Like, can we just go back at the impact point and watch all the beer cans fall out of there?
Yeah. Well, I also like how she jumps right out like nothing happened. Like, oh, what?
Kari.
I mean, we all kind of rued the day that we're gonna have to teach our kids to drive and stuff like that. And I know our parents rued the day they had to teach us to drive. I got a buddy who's his daughter is gonna be learning to drive in the next year, and so Godspeed,
Godspeed
to you on that one.
Godspeed.
But it's funny. It's funny to see that out there. I mean, we've all driven like that on the golf course too. So those golf carts have a mind of their own. Correct.
They do. All right. Let's get into last call tonight, and
I will have to say the bottom of our screen where we have all of our cues and stuff up. Did you see how the video was paused there? It was all the beer cans like in midair paused. It was perfect.
Yes, it was great. I know we talked about this, and we'll talk about Colonial. We'll recap Colonial. You know what? And I'm going to say this. A year ago when they finished Colonial, literally they started digging up the golf course while the players were still on it. They were working on preparations, and they redid the golf course, and Gil Hansen and his team came in. I think they did a good job on the redesign. I'm not a huge Gil Hansen fan. That's just me.
How?
It's me personally.
Gil Hansen is the redesign expert.
Correct, but I also
not
own
design, redesign.
But I don't think he does anything original. All of his golf courses look the same. They do. Like,
but here's think about it. Every golf architect has that look that they have, and Gil's is just very similar all the time. But Pete Dye's is very similar. You can tell.
No, they're not. They're not. Pete Dye does a much better job, and like Gil does. It's the exact same golf course. If you've played Streamsong Black, Mossy Oak, or Pinehurst number 4, you've played the same golf course, and that's how I feel about it.
See, I don't. I feel they're similar. I feel his thing is that bunker look. Like that's Gil Hansen's thing, is really just doing that natural bunker look with stuff. Where like Pete Dye had like the railroad ties. You look at Mike Strand's, like another one that his courses. We love golf, Stone. Like that's the thing. But you look at golf courses. Like I asked a Masters champion one time. I said, "What is it like your favorite golf course?" And his answer wasn't about like a course specifically. It was about how a course is laid out and how they use the natural layout of the land versus building these monstrosities of hills and stuff out of nowhere, or the Trump design of putting waterfalls everywhere.
But Greg, and we've all talked about this on the show, so this isn't a secret or anything like that. Both of us, our favorite golf course is the same one. All three of us, actually, I believe. And what is the best part about that golf course? And it's not, and I'm going to say this, it's not the tee box on a platform on number 9. Although it is pretty cool. But it's the naturalness of that golf course and the way it appears to your eye. And I don't feel like but here's the thing. You take that golf course and you compare it to another golf course that Pete Dye did in TPC Sawgrass. They're two very distinct golf courses that have their own look. And he does a great job
That's true.
with the ground and designing a golf course around what he's been given. Whereas I don't think Gil does that. I don't.
I don't. But that's my argument for Gil is that Gil is not Pete Dye and Alice Dye. I'm going to give Alice credit too here because both of them did this together. They had an eye to take the land and shape it to what they wanted. To put a golf course in there, and the way that a golf course flows, and the thought of Pete Dye was always the first hole should introduce you to the course, and then the rest should punch you in the mouth. which is that came from the Donald Ross School of Design. Exactly.
As well.
That's that design. I put Gil Hance as more of a restoration artist. And that's what I like about him is he doesn't take a golf course and build a golf course. He takes something that already existed and he restores it to something. But when he does that, that's where he puts his own flair on it, and that's why I think a lot of it looks the same.
And do you want to know what? And do you want to know what's funny about this as we talk about the naturalness of the land? Our second favorite golf course designer in a guy named Mike Strands does not, and it's like he was on crack when he designed every golf course he's ever designed because they're awesomely.
He uses the lay of the land. He just bulldozes it all to one spot.
But
that's the thing. But he's another one that he thinks about the whole, whereas Gil is just taking something that's already there and tries to make it more challenging. And really, what do you do with that? You put bunkers out there. So
right.
But he does a good job at it. That's all I'm saying.
But I'm going to say this. The job that he did at Colonial, I think, was great. I think the golf course looks very natural. I don't know that the golf course, and there were spots on that golf course that were brown, and I don't think the golf course was necessarily settled in and ready to be played as a PGA Tour venue this week. And I commend them for getting through and doing what they did and playing the golf tournament. I do think that you're going to see that golf course will show its teeth 2 or 3, 4 years down the line, and it's going to be a great test of golf. And I think you're going to see that golf course really still be that challenge in the PGA Tour. I'm going to say this, Davis Riley this weekend, and if the Orlando golfer is watching, please comment. The Orlando golfer and Davis actually grew up and played high school golf together. So they know each other pretty well. And Davis getting this win, this is his first win on his own on the PGA Tour. He and Nick Hardy won at New Orleans 2 years ago, last year. Not this year, calendar. They won in 2023 in New Orleans. Davis grew up playing junior golf against the likes of Scotty Scheffler and Xander Schauffele. And I think because of that was well equipped to be in that final pairing with Scotty this past weekend and to be ready to go and peg it up and say, let's go, let's do this. I saw a guy who struggled at the end of his round on Saturday, the back nine on Saturday. He couldn't find a fairway. Everything was going left. And he got
away. The group struggled a lot on Sunday.
Everybody struggled on Sunday. The wind was up and the wind was in a weird direction and everybody struggled on Sunday. So I'm going to put Sunday as a microcosm of Mother Nature causing them to struggle on Sunday. But when you look at the fact that if you had told me that Davis Riley was going to be paired in the final group with Scotty Scheffler and shoot even par, do I think he would win? I would have said no.
Well,
and I don't care how far back Scotty is. But
exactly. Davis Riley, I don't care if the Louisville PD come and arrest Scotty Sunday morning. You're still going to put
interesting. There's an the DA is making an announcement tomorrow morning in that case.
Yeah, I know. We'll be watching that. But Davis Riley did to Scotty what Scotty has done to everybody else.
Correct.
You won by 5 and you went out there and had a dominant week. So kudos to that. You went out there and you didn't just barely win this.
No.
You won by 5 strokes. Like that's an accomplishment, and showing what these scores are out there. That a lot of times out there, when you're winning by 5 strokes, it's like 20 or 19 to like everyone's in the teens. He's the only one in double digits under par.
Correct.
So kudos to that this week. It was another
great win
story again,
and another great story in that 2 weeks ago his sister had ended up in the hospital having seizures and having to go through brain surgery, and to be there and to do this and to bring light to what his sister was going through, obviously is a great feat for him, because again, they were also talking about that, again, bringing light to that, as we've talked earlier, shed that light and open up. And to see him get his first win on his own on the PGA Tour, I think it's gonna be the first of many. Obviously, I mean, he played golf at Alabama. He was teammates with Justin Thomas at Alabama. Obviously, you're doing something if you play golf at Alabama. Let's be real. Like, if you played with Justin Thomas and that team at Alabama, they were loaded. Yeah. So, and
this is what we've always said. It's next man up. It's always, this is what's good on tour. We talked about, like, this is what the PGA Tour is. We love seeing Scotty dominate. Believe me, we love seeing that. But we love seeing these players that have been out there doing the grind, playing the game we all love, and getting a win out there, because that's what this is about. It's about coming over that adversity. It's about getting over that hump. And I mean, that you had to what happened to your sister, which, as someone who has epilepsy, I know what that's like. That's very tough and scary for your family, especially if it's a first time you've ever gone through this. And then you also have to deal with one of your peers out there who was playing in this event.
Yes.
Passing away. Like, not just someone who just like played the week before, but is playing in this event. Like, that's tough. Like, and that you still went out and did this. Kudos. Like, great win. Awesome win on tour this week. But next week,
I gotta put this one up. Hold on, I gotta put this one up really quickly. No, you don't. No, you
don't.
No, you don't. And
that's why they all want to come back and play on the PGA Tour and get those.
And I don't care. And if you win on the PGA Tour, I really don't. Again, we've questioned on this show the whether or not a live win deserves an asterisk. This win does not deserve an asterisk. Just going to leave it at that.
Yeah.
So that being said, I need to figure out who I'm picking this week. So
no, I'm picking first. I get
to
pick first.
You know what? I do have to make. Damn you, Davis Riley, because again, I picked Scotty and he came in second, which would give me the first pick this week. So damn you, Davis Riley, for that.
That's why kudos, Davis Riley, because I went with Homa, and Homa, you got beat by a guy in jail the week before, and now you can't. Like, come on, man, get your act together. So, but we're going to Canada.
We are going to Canada. Blame Canada
for one of the most exciting events last year.
I mean,
you had hockey boards on the side of a hole, and that's not where the biggest hit happened.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I don't know. Did you hear Adam Hadwin's? He gave it. They mic'd him up this week, and they asked him if he learned his lesson. And all he said was, "I'll make sure I'm wearing my credentials this week." Well, Scotty had his on 2 weeks ago at the PGA, and it didn't help him. So
that's true. Also, Scotty didn't get tackled. His car did.
His car did get tackled. He got pulled out, but no.
We didn't even talk about that video.
No. So, all right, let's roll the odds with Dave. Let's go into odds, and then we'll go into our picks.
I really should update that for when he's not here and have it like crossed out with and just change it to without. Like,
no, you're right.
Odds without Dave.
Odds without Dave. All right, so you want to pick the betting favorite this week?
That's who I am picking this week.
Rory?
Yeah. He's been playing well. That's who I'm picking this week. It's my first pick. I'm taking Rory in Canada. He's won this before.
He at this venue. He's the last person to win at this venue. Funny enough, when you go down the list of the last time this was here, it was Rory, Shane Lowry, Webb Simpson, Brant Snedeker, Matt Kuchar, Adam Hadwin, Sung J M, G-Mac, Stenson, and Willett were the last winners there. But betting odds after Rory, Tommy Fleetwood,
Okay.
Sahit Tagala, Shane Lowry, Sam Burns, Corey Connors, Cam Young.
I like Shane Lowry too.
I do too. And I wish I knew what Dave's pick was, and he answered my text message so that we.
He hasn't given us a pick?
No, he hasn't.
Okay, so we can make two rules here. One, we get to pick for him.
Oh, do we?
Or two, we give him till Thursday to pick, or Wednesday night to pick.
No,
so tomorrow night.
No, because here's the problem: he has to pick before I can pick.
No, I'm going with this is draft rules that when his clock runs out, you get to pick
because he's not here. He's not here.
That's what I'm saying.
And I texted him. I texted him
an hour ago. An hour ago, you texted him.
At 7:50 p.m. An hour and 5 minutes. I gave him an hour and 5 minutes to give his pick in.
Now to him, it's odds with Dave. He should know he has to get a pick in. He should have known that coming into this. He is doing dad stuff like at a baseball game with his son. So kudos to him for that. So I'm not gonna. Let's ask this question: is Ricky in the field this week?
Ooh, let me look.
Do we just give him his default pick?
Let me see here. Search. No, he is not in the field this week.
Ah, damn, that would have been. I would have just given him his default pick at that point.
Well, I'm going to take. You want me to know who I'm going to take? I'm going to take. I was really considering Maverick McNeely at plus 3,000. I looked at it. He's been playing some really good golf lately. But I'm going to go with Shane Lowry.
I like that. I like the battle between Shane and Rory. I like that on this show right here. That's so.
This is actually hilarious.
It's a good one, Mike. Fire, I like that. I like Duck Race for
Dave's pick.
For Dave's pick, but that's a lot of people to put in here.
Yeah, no, that is.
Or let's do this. Let's do this. Right. We have our fans commenting, obviously.
Right.
So
give us Dave's pick.
Give us Dave's pick. The fans are picking. You get to pick Dave's.
Dave, yes. You have 1 minute. Let's go.
You got 1 minute before the show ends. Pick Dave's.
Dave.
Numbers with entry number. I was going to do world golf rankings, Clyde, if I did a duck race, but to set that up, it's going to take too long and do anything. So.
Yeah, no. We would have had that set up before the show.
No, that doesn't work.
No, because then what if you get somebody who is? Should we call him?
I got it.
To call him in here
Nope. I got who we're picking. We're taking because Dave's favorite number is 8. That's Dave's favorite number. We can't take Phil Mickelson, Bradley.
Yep.
Know which tour we're on. Because what'll happen is we'll pick Phil, then he'll win on Live, and we'll have to somehow make that count on this. Dave's favorite number is 8. In the rank and the world golf rank, there is not number 8 on either one is not there. So I'm going down the list, and number 88 in the world golf rankings is Matt Wallace.
Is he playing this week?
He is. That's what I'm looking. I'm looking at this week's field. Or Chandler Phillips is 88th on tour this year. Do we go with Chandler?
No, let's go with.
You want to go with Matt Wallace? That's exactly what it is.
We go with Matt Wallace. We'll give
Matt Wallace. All right. Dave's pick is Matt Wallace.
Well, Dave Clyer did throw Kevin Kisner's name out there. He's in the field this week.
He is. But I like going with Dave's favorite number.
Matthew Wallace, Dave's pick, locked in. Lead pipe lock this.
All right,
Greg.
Go with Russell Knox or Bill Haas as alternates. They're not even in the field. They're just alternates right now. They could be in the field.
Listen, you know what? If it was me, I would have expected you to say Russell Knox because he is a Jacksonville University alumni, just like myself.
Well, that's why I said his name there. But
yeah, but yeah. So all right, Greg. Next week, tune in next week. It's going to be a really
definitely
powerful show. I'm going to say this. We all talk about what was our favorite show, and obviously the Steve Miller show that we had. And I think this will rival that when it's all said and done as far as amazing show experience from an interview standpoint. So I'm really looking forward to that. So hope everybody enjoys the Canadian
out in the world.
Enjoys the Canadian Open. If you're at the Canadian Open this week, don't forget, go and find some Dormy head covers because I'm sure they're there. So do that, and we will see you in a week.
Really fortunate, man. Having an opportunity to build something that's
that has gone viral on our TikTok. That somebody was commenting about playing Whistling Straits